Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got it!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30. He's going to go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
he hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard another day episode of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from high atop the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, 18th Fairway. How's your day going? It is Thursday, another nice day, I think, at least in this area. Taking it while we can get it. Appreciate you guys being here. Of course, Dustin Schutte with me, our co-host from outsider.com. John, the producer, keeping the bus going round and round. Looking forward to talking to Staley from thehoosier.com today. Get caught up on some of your basketball notes. Chris Denari from the Pacers. Lots to talk about. The college football rankings, that's still a conversation we're going to have today because this Clemson thing is BS. World Series is tied at 2 after Houston no hits Philadelphia the night after getting destroyed after putting on a home run derby. The Washington Commanders, possibly going up for sale. You know, Dale Jr. is a big fan of them. I wonder if he would try to be a part of an owner's group.
That is something to keep an eye on.
I mean, his name recognition would be big for them.
His name recognition, his market sense, his business savvy. I think he wouldn't go obviously be the full-time owner, but I could see him being part of a purchasing group there.
Yeah, he doesn't have that kind of money.
Right.
When we're talking about buying a professional sports team, that's different kind of money. And even Dale Earnhardt Jr. does not have that kind of money.
That's wild.
That's why he's not in cup racing full time. NASCAR cup racing. He races on his JR Motorsports races on the Xfinity Series. Now they've looked at moving up. You have to buy charters and all this, which were costing a couple of million just a couple of years ago, and now they're up to like 15 million. So they're wondering if they missed the boat there. Separate subject. But the reason the Commanders, there's been a lot of stuff going on there with Dan Snyder, all kinds of bad crap. But now the U.S. attorney has opened up a criminal investigation into possible illegal business practices. I've never heard of a government agency opening up an investigation into a professional sports team because of illegal business practices.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
That's bad.
That is bad. First, a few years ago, the very first time I heard about really kind of government or FBI intervention was with the whole Adidas thing with the college basketball side. And then I know in the past people have gotten in trouble for gambling, but that's kind of a different issue. And now you've got this going on with Washington. But I mean, Dan Snyder has a laundry list of terrible things he's done, or things he's fooled the season ticket holders. He's condoned a toxic work environment. There's just a lot of things. Like, I think a lot of people are trying to get him out of the league, and now everything's starting to surface and bubble up, and they're going to do everything they can, I think, to change ownership, because he's not only a bad look for the Washington Commanders, but also for the NFL.
Oh yes, that's what was the dude from the NBA a couple of years ago?
Donald Sterling.
Yes, they were able to get rid of, and this is the same situation. They don't want it; got to go. Looks like they're going to get that done probably. Yeah, good luck, Joseph. Our buddy Joseph heading back up to Detroit for a second interview. intern for Mr. Hulls over the summer. So wishing him luck. Gonzaga to the Big 12. Potentially.
Oh, okay. I did not see that.
Yes. And that, see, the Big 12 to me is they're making the right moves. The Pac-12 seems like they're just spouting off and whining a lot, crying and bitching and moaning. We UCLA, I've talked to everybody and nobody likes it. I mean, that's their commissioner. Yeah. That's what their commissioner's doing. You know what the commissioner of the Big 12 is doing? He's going out and trying to make his league better.
Right.
And not only did he do that, he just did it right out from under the Pac-12.
Right.
Gonzaga's in Oregon.
Well, and here's the thing, what the Big 12 can do, they can kind of become the new Big East a little bit, because Gonzaga, I don't believe, has a football program. So you can add, the old Big East used to have, 16 basketball teams and probably 10 to 12 football teams that competed at the FBS level.
If that.
Yeah. The Big 12 can do the same sort of thing. They'll have 12 football teams, but why not try to build up and make it a basketball super? I don't know about super conference, but you can add some really nice pieces there. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there are.
You add pieces that make, like, it's not going to make it like you said, it's not going to make it a super conference,
right?
But it's going to make it a formidable conference year in and year out, where you're probably always going to have a couple of teams that are up there.
Right.
Oklahoma is going to, and Texas are going to be gone, but I mean, you've got Cincinnati in there now. You've got Houston in there. So yeah, I agree with you. And I hadn't thought about it, because the Big 12 is such a football conference.
Right.
I wouldn't have thought that they'd have gone that way. And again, I'm not thinking outside of the box. I wasn't thinking about Gonzaga, because I would have thought that moronic commissioner of the Pac-12 would have been on him, on Gonzaga.
Right. I would have thought that too.
But
that would make way more sense.
Instead of whining, now he's let one slip out the door already. What's the Pac-12 going to do? What are their options going to be?
I have no idea.
BYU join the Big 12?
BYU joined the Big 12, yes. So
another West Coast team.
Yeah.
So they're running out of options, man.
That would leave them with like
Nevada.
Gosh darn it, Boise State.
Fresno State, someone like
Boise State, Fresno State. I tell you what I would do. I would try to convince North Dakota State to go up to the next level, because at least they have a pretty good fan base. I know it's not a big fan base.
But what the Big 12 should go after.
Well, the Big 12 might go after them. I don't know. I don't know if they have any interest there. I mean, they've been so dominant at the FCS level, so they might not have any interest in it. But that would be a good play for, I think, either conference. It's crazy how much this entire landscape is going to change. And here the Big Ten, the SEC, and even the ACC are sitting pretty.
I agree. Doug is on with us. Michael, lots of everybody jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline early. We appreciate you. Ryan is playing Potawatomi Country Club today in Michigan City with a high of 70. Holy cow, Michigan City, that's way the hell up there in Indiana.
Yeah.
It's going to be 70 there. It's not going to be 70 here. I'm not sure, but I didn't think it was. But good for him. Yeah, everybody getting in some late year golf, man.
Heck yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, speaking of golf, the golf club at Eagle Point has their gold anniversary membership sale going on right now, and it is a freaking bargain, period. One time, $299 covers your green fees for the next 2 years, all the way through December 31st of 2024. You just have to pay your cart round or your card each round, whether it's 9 or 18. You can book your tee times a week in advance, and weekends and holidays, you can book tee times starting as early as 10 a.m. There's a limited number available. Once they're gone, they're gone. The sale has been underway since October 6th. You can also get their Platinum Anniversary membership, which is their full-time membership, which gives you everything. That's like $16.95, I think. Works out to you need to play 60 rounds a year and you break even on that one. So, but the other one, not so much. That's just a bargain. Yeah, you don't want to miss out on that. And let me tell you, the course is it's emerald green right now. In November. November. The greens, the fairways, they recently aerated them and raked the fairways. And then right after that, we got those 2 days of soaking rains. It was like perfectly ordered. And man, they are just emerald green right now. It's mind-boggling because normally a couple of years ago, this place was a dust bowl by August. So incredible shape. Got to give them a shout out for that. Seriously, the grounds crew does an amazing job.
They probably cringe when they see you on the tee box, I'm guessing, right?
Now, why would you say that?
We know that, hey, they would cringe if they saw me because I'm about to make their job a lot harder.
The tee box, not so much. Maybe out in the fairway, tearing the fairway up. No, I was just kidding. Hey, my game has gotten much better over the course of this year. Just trying to relax and take easier swings, and it's been much better. Tannis says Reggie Miller blasted the NBA for their silence, NBA players for their silence on Kyrie when they were, when they were voicing at their owners about the owners racers stuff. But with Kyrie Irving, they were silent.
Yep.
Yeah, where's LeBron James? Where is he on this? You know what? I that's a great point. And for a former player to make it as respected as Reggie Miller, gosh, do I have so much respect for that.
And he did it during the broadcast. He didn't just tweet it out. He said it during the broadcast.
Nothing but respect for that. I mean, I love Reggie anyway. I like listening to him call games. He's one of the guys that I enjoy listening to because he's just good at it. Because he tells it kind of like it is. I mean, I love listening to him. I love listening to Charles Barkley. Yep. There are certain guys I just love to listen to. But he is one of them. Ryan says officiated the first basketball games of the season last night. 7th and 8th graders, boys and girls in Gary, Indiana. Brutal. I bet. Forrest jumping on already. Reggie is a stud. No doubt about that. More to talk about later as we're getting close to a break. But the IARP ruling for Louisville is expected out today. That I am very, very interested in seeing what that's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long. The crime was egregious because it happened while you were on probation for committing major penalties. So I don't know how they don't get a major penalty on one hand, but the other hand, who are you punishing?
Right.
Really? Who are you punishing now? Are you punishing the Louisville fans? Yes. That had nothing to do with it. Are you punishing every Louisville player on that team that had zero to do with it? Yeah. Are you punishing every coach in that program now that had nothing to do with it? Yep. The president, the athletics director, everybody.
Yep.
And they just wait too long. The people that are responsible for this stuff don't pay in for it. They don't pay for the crimes. And
that's, I know we got to go to a break, but that's the problem here. Don't punish the school, punish the individuals. If you want to punish the individuals, I have no problem with it. But look, Louisville, I don't know whether they
Well,
everything
you punish
they
the
needed
school to a degree because they have a responsibility of making sure this stuff doesn't happen.
I agree, but with since basically everybody's gone, I don't know what else they need to be doing anyway.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this one too. Kansas suspends Bill Self 4 whole games, which includes their match against Duke.
How will he survive?
Yeah. Lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Appreciate you guys being along already. Brought to you by our good friends from BB's Market, where we will be tomorrow. Stop out there live. Check it out. Located on College, just north of Bloomington South High School. Plenty more coming along here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting,
I've got a list of things that didn't exist whenever Louisville's case began, however many years ago that was.
what do you mean?
Someone tweeted last night a list of things that didn't exist back when Louisville's NCAA case started, however many years ago that was. Self-driving cars,
portal,
AirPods, Amazon Alexa, the Ring doorbell, COVID-19.
Oh my God, that is
Tinder, The Mandalorian, Lizzo.
That is freaking hilarious. Yes, I cannot wait to bust that out.
And apparently, so this isn't official. So it's coming out. The official ruling is coming out at 10. But somebody is trying to leak what's actually going to come out ahead of time.
Well, let's try to stay on it.
No postseason ban. There's going to be a $5,000 fine. I don't know who that goes to. That doesn't seem like much. A small reduction in recruiting days, 2 years probation, and Rick Pitino and Chris Mack avoid the punishment entirely, apparently. But we'll find out at 10 o'clock.
That's the rumor?
That's the rumor, according to someone named Matt Norlander. He is verified on Twitter.
Matt Norlander, yes, he's a good source. He would
There
know.
you go. So we'll see.
I just listened to that Reggie clip. Wow.
Reggie who? What is it?
We should
Reggie
pull
Miller.
that up. Pull up the
That,
Reggie clip.
What is it?
Here, I'll send it to you, John. It's just a minute.
Excuse me.
If this is the problem. If this people are Tanis is right. People are calling Reggie out for this. But if this was anybody, it doesn't matter that it's a link. All the things that we see people speak out about. If this had been a coach or an owner,
All right, here we go.
GM,
We should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Thursday. I didn't write it down on the page, so I better. Already into November. What is this, the 3rd? Yeah, 3rd of November already. Holy cow. But the weather's been sweet. You know that means it's going to turn bad. But you know what? We can't complain this time.
It'll be Festivus before we know it.
You're right. It will be. But I feel like we're soaking. We're really getting we're getting some extra bonus weather here. So I'm going to try not to complain.
and when the weather starts to turn, you just crank up. If it's tomorrow, you just crank up your Christmas music, and you're good to go.
Nope. Not. We'll have that conversation in a little bit, but that's not happening. No Christmas music here, baby. Not before Thanksgiving. That's BS. You have a whole holiday coming up in Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is about the beginnings of the country and all that. We can't just trample over that with another holiday that's a month away.
Yeah, I hate to impede upon all of those great Thanksgiving
decorations,
songs.
Man. No, there are no Thanksgiving songs, are there?
Here's the thing. This is my approach to Thanksgiving and Christmas. I keep my fall decorations up. I turn on my Christmas jazz. So it's like the perfect mesh there of Thanksgiving and Christmas. Because otherwise, I don't get into the jingles that much, like the kids stuff, unless it's Dominic the Donkey. That's a great song. But other than that,
I've never ever even heard of that.
You've never heard of? Oh my! There's another one we got to pull up at some point, John. Dominic the Donkey, the Italian Christmas donkey.
We'll save Dominic the Donkey for Christmas time.
Be interesting.
Where did that even come from?
I think it was an old cartoon.
It sounds like it would have had to be.
I don't
know.
know.
This Brandon Contest tweet. Are we wanting to show that or just play audio? What are we doing here with this?
What do you got?
The Reggie Miller stuff?
Show it all. Whatever you got. Because the audio works and the video too.
All right, Dustin, you want to set this up for us?
Okay. So Kyrie Irving recently tweeted out a link, I believe it was to a documentary that had anti-Semitic connotations included in it. There's been a lot of mixed emotions about whether he should be punished, whether he should not be punished. Basically, a lot of people through social media have said, this is something that needs to be addressed by the league. And so far, as I know, the players have been very quiet on it. I don't think even the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, has made a comment on this sort of thing. So I could be wrong on that front, but I know the players have been very, very quiet on this. And so Reggie Miller, basically during last night's Bulls Nets game where Kyrie was playing, obviously, Reggie Miller basically called out the league and the players for being so quiet.
Well, here's the thing. In years past, this league has been great because the players have led the way and they have strong voices. When Donald Sterling stepped in it, when Robert Sarver just recently stepped in it, our voices from our leaders in the basketball community and the players were very vocally strong, and some type of discipline be handed down or be gone. The players have dropped the ball on this case when it's been one of their own. It's been crickets, and that's disappointing because this league has been built on the shoulders of players being advocates. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And if you're going to call out owners, and rightfully so, then you've got to call out players as well. You can't go silent in terms of this for Kyrie Irving. I want to hear the players and their strong opinions as well, just the same way we heard about Robert Sarver and Donald Sterling.
Boom. Reggie Miller there with strong, but very comments that I agree with 1,000%. And just got to give him the props for doing that, being a former player. But he's hitting the nail right on the head, man.
It is.
Straight up.
And the comment that stands out to me is right is right and wrong is wrong. And look, I don't know Kyrie Irving as a person. I don't ever buy into this cancel culture thing of we need to cancel people or end their careers because of one mistake. I don't know him. I don't know what's in his heart. I don't know any of that stuff. But you have to address it. You can't just let this be swept under the rug when there have been similar circumstances that people have been lost their jobs, lost their teams. I don't want to equate this on the same field, but I'm just saying something needs to be addressed here. And I don't understand why the league is so dismissive of this. It doesn't have to be that Kyrie is suspended from the league for the rest of the season or for his career, but an explanation, an apology, some sort of comments from players, coaches, that sort of stuff would be very appropriate, especially considering how vocal they were when we had a certain president in office during the pandemic, all that sort of stuff. They were very vocal, and now it's nothing. So that's what's I agree with Reggie. That's what's disappointing, is just the hypocrisy basically in this all.
Yep. We'll see how it goes from there. And what the reaction is to that. But and then saw some other things back regarding Louisville. Someone mentioned that Rick Pitino possibly has scheduled a press conference for today at 1 or 11 o'clock.
Oh boy.
That means he already knows whatever's coming out. It's going to be interesting. If that is accurate, be interested to see what he has to say. If he was hit with any show cause or anything, you have the assistants that actually, one of which is an assistant to Lil Rhodey right now, I believe. Kenny Johnson was an assistant on that Louisville team and is now an assistant for Lil Rhodey, I believe, at Rhode Island. Pretty sure about that.
You called him Lil Rhodey.
Lil Rhodey, Lil Rhodey.
Yep, I got you. I was
Rhode Island. They call them the Roadies.
I got you now. I was very confused there for a minute.
This nickname's been going on for a while, Dustin. You must have missed out on when this originated.
Apparently.
Oh yeah, I mean this.
There's commenters who will refer to Archie Miller as Lil Rhodey frequently.
I need, and I won't get the credit for that, I bet, but I need someone to create a meme for me.
A meme?
Lil Rhodey. Meme, whatever. Of Lil Rhodey. Lil Rhodey.
There you go.
But I was talking to someone last night, and I said, you know what? I need to see about trying to get Sean Miller on the show for the upcoming game with Xavier. And someone said, man, he ain't coming on your show. I said, he didn't know who I am. I said, now if he talks to Archie, that'll be different. Archie will know who I am, but he'll say, hell no. But I don't think they talk about stuff like that. So no, not worried about that. But yeah, would love to try to start getting some of the opposing coaches on the show here before they play. We'll see if we can get that done. We were talking about Christmas earlier. Wyatt respectfully disagrees. It's Christmas season until the day before Thanksgiving, the day of, and the day after. Then they celebrate Thanksgiving and it's back to Christmas.
There we go.
Well,
I like that approach.
I like your moxie, but I'm not on that. Jennifer has 2 of her 3 trees are already up, and she's not mad about it. Man.
See?
No. Let's see. Mike says if they don't have anything, say anything about it, they were showing they were virtually
virtue
I'm
signaling.
not sure what Mike's in. Yeah, not sure. All right, that's about it on the comments that I can really. Who had scheduled a Zoom meeting?
Pitino.
I wish we could I had the link to that. I would grab that. We'll have to see if we can find the link to that so we can pull that up. But I'm sure there'll be no shortage of clips from him if that is the case. And all that comes out. I wish we had Rick Bozich on with us. I wish this came out before yesterday. But and it's just out of curiosity. I'm just curious on because you can see the Kansas thing. I mean, you just think back, Indiana fans, and it's not just Indiana fans. There's probably others, but Indiana, just because of the situation on how mild what happened was phone calls, freaking phone calls. Yeah. Now, was it? And actually, it didn't wipe them out. It was because Tom Crean or whomever that coach was not able to just, had the transfer portal been around, it would have changed things immensely for Indiana because you could have pulled in people left and right, and they couldn't do that. And it, in essence, wiped a program out over nothing. And now you can just pretty much do whatever you want. You get caught, and it's, sorry about your luck.
Well, I mean, it's always kind of been like that, depending on who the coaches are, who the program is. I mean, we see that in football all the time. I think Missouri was hit for a 1-year postseason ban on the football side and a reduction in scholarships a few years ago for doing basically the same thing that North Carolina did. I think it was actually lesser in scale. I don't remember the specific circumstances. The same thing that North Carolina basketball did, and North Carolina basketball received 0 punishment, and Missouri got slapped with the postseason ban.
Let me tell you, North Carolina, Duke, and Kansas have all cheated their asses off.
Right.
Cheated their asses off in different ways. Duke, Zion Williamson was getting paid, and I don't know who else was getting paid, but they were getting paid. They were getting money. So anybody that says otherwise is just living in a fantasy land. North Carolina was academically cheating at the very least for 20 years. 20 years ushering kids through classes that were bogus. That's all. That's just what we know about. That's just what we know about. Kansas cheating, paying players. Adidas paying to get players. We know that.
Yep.
And yet these programs.
LSU.
Oh, God, don't even talk about LSU. LSU is the biggest bastion of cheating in the history of the world. The entire state of Louisiana is built on cheating. Go back to Huey Long. I mean, it seriously is. That state is just nothing but cheating from – that should be their mantra. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
There you go. But that's the thing. You think about what Indiana did, what Kelvin Sampson did, and go tie in Ohio State to that for the quote-unquote tattoo gate. I mean, you're talking about things that were so minuscule in scale to some of the things we've seen go on. And both of those, they wiped out the Indiana basketball program. The Jim Tressel got, I don't remember specifically if he was fired or if he walked away before he was technically terminated, but that set that program back. They were able to get Urban Meyer, but it just makes no sense as to the punishment system. And this is why you always hear about the Power Five wanting to break away from the NCAA. Now, I don't know who the governing body would be, or if there would be a commissioner for all leagues or what the case would be. I don't know how that would work. But this is always why every few years they talk about wanting to break away from the NCAA, wanting to get a new organization or something else going on, because there's just no consistency. There's been no consistency ever in these decisions, and they don't explain them well. But what I will say is, if the report from Matt Norlander is correct, then I feel like that's an appropriate punishment for the school, considering the players aren't there, the coaches aren't there, the administration isn't there. Slap the school with some minor fines and some recruiting things, but ultimately that's not going to affect that program that much. Why? Bob Knight said this several years ago about John Calipari. Why is a coach who put 2 schools on probation still allowed to coach? Like, why does the NCAA not punish the individual? It makes no sense to me.
Doug says John Gruden is going to win his case. What case does he have?
I have no idea. I've not followed anything John Gruden related.
Yeah, I don't think Dan Dockage has any responsibility for running off players. He probably ran off some players that needed to be run off because there were quite a few knuckleheads, I'll just call them that, back then, that were not exactly the type of guys that you need to have around. So, yeah, nothing to do with him. And Sampson should have never been hired, to be honest with you, although he's a great coach.
Yeah.
You hired a guy that was on freaking probation for doing what he got in trouble for doing.
That's true.
Who the hell hires a coach that's under an NCAA investigation while you're looking at him to hire him? I'll tell you who. Indiana.
That's true. But do you think Indiana thought if we get in trouble, it's not going to be that bad because we're a blue blood program?
No, I could have stopped you at Indiana thought. No.
Okay.
No. The administration, Indiana's biggest nemesis over the last 20 years has been Indiana.
Yeah.
The administration, and these are different people in different times. I'm not talking about current, but the administration over the course of this time has just totally screwed it up. It's just like one person after another. But they had people in place that should not have ever been in place. They've had athletics directors that had no business being an athletics director, that had no experience being an athletics director. None. Writing contracts that are horrible, hiring people that were just bad hires. It was just one clown show after another, it seems like. And you're doing it with Indiana basketball, which was a highly revered, successful, proud program, and it just got treated like dirt, to be honest with you, in my opinion, because of the overwhelming desire to not make mistakes. It's like they just didn't care that they didn't screw it up. They did not go to the links to make sure they don't screw it up. They went to no links. You got one guy forcing a school to hire Kelvin Sampson. Got another guy hiring a guy who was the worst hire in the history of IU athletics. That'd be Archie Miller.
Okay. I was making sure we were on the same page with that one.
That's Lil Rhodey.
Lil Rhodey.
Lil Rhodey is the worst hire in the history of IU athletics, without question. Just without question, easily to say that, but there's no point in banging on that drum. Hey, don't forget, Kyler Staley is going to be joining us today from thehoosier.com, but they have a special going right now. Half off. That's like $4 and something cents a month. As the basketball season is here, get up with the inside knowledge, recruiting information, up-to-date news, and that is how these guys are able to provide that information for you. But support those who are providing this information and working hard to get it for you. It's only, like I said, it's only $4 and something cents a month. Come on, people. Get yourself a subscription to thehoosier.com. It helps immensely. Appreciate you. And hit the subscribe button if you happen to be watching on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like buttons, notification buttons, rather. We appreciate that. How's everybody doing today? And always comment. I know a lot of our viewers on YouTube obviously watch afterwards, and I try to go back and hit the comments, but feel free to comment as often as you like. Tanis says Knight was championing to bring back the scholar athlete, meaning keep track of schools like UNC that fake grades for better athletes. Miles Brand fired Knight to get rid of that thorn in the inch. That is completely false. Bob Knight got fired because Bob Knight was an ass. There's that stop. I'm sorry, Tanis, but that's where that ends. Bob Knight got fired because Bob Knight thought he was bigger than anything.
Yep.
Thought he was bigger than Indiana University. And that is why Bob Knight got fired, period. Did they handle it right? No, they did not. We can talk about that's a whole other discussion too. But we got to take a break. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Dustin Schutte and myself, Jim Coyle, are with you. As always, we're back with more. Brought to you by GoTeen, a part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App or Google App Store, sign up for the WOW Club, start earning WOW rewards today. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Golfers, here's the deal.
Now I'm interested. How do you think they should have handled it?
Well, you have to think. It's not something you just.
I thought maybe you had an answer in mind. That's why I was laughing. I was like, he hasn't noticed that.
Well, first of all, they could have suspended him.
But they gave him a zero tolerance policy.
Yeah, which is horse shit. What does that mean? What does that mean? You can't fart walking down the hallway? Where does the zero tolerance end? Where does it end?
I'm sure that they gave him a description of what that meant. And he did think he was bigger than the program.
Well, there's no doubt about that. See, the problem was he went unchecked this whole time.
Right. That's the bigger problem. I don't think they handled this, that the final decision was not handled poorly. All the stuff leading up to him believing if you don't put him in check the whole time, he's going to think he can do whatever he wants.
I can name somebody else I work with that should be on a zero tolerance policy. It's not anyone related to you all.
I know exactly who it is, too. But here's the thing. The stuff he did, it's horseshit. It's candy. The Neil Reed thing, I still laugh at to this day. He did not choke him. He put his hand right there. Yeah, okay, big deal. What does that really do to you? Nothing. You're in a game that you're getting hit in the head with elbows and everything else. That don't do jack. It might have embarrassed you. So there's that. And the other thing where he grabbed the kid's arm that called him knight or something. Okay. You've never had an adult grab you by the arm to talk to you or something? Come on.
Let me tell you, if somebody does that to me,
big of a pussy society?
Hold on, though. If somebody did that to me, I might take a swing at him because knowing. Okay, let me tell you this:
if Bob Knight did it to you, you wouldn't because he's 6. He was 6'6", and he was towered over you. No, you. I
might because
he was an imposing figure. I promise you.
I understand that, but I don't. You let me tell you, okay.
You wouldn't want to get hit by
Andy Moore Honda now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Speed Radio coming to you here on this Thursday, brought to you by our good friends from Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl, at IndyHomePros.com. Big IU fan as well. Has a great golf tournament with my board each fall. We've already had that. That was back in August, I think. And big thanks to Craig from up there. He called me yesterday. I left my glasses there. This golf event that I played in up there was like 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago at least. And I know I leave things all over the place. My ADHD, I've got like 5 glass cases. And each one, I just wrote my name and number inside of them. And I've had 2 of them returned to me because of that. Well, the other one is still waiting to be returned. But, yeah, big thanks to Craig Cook there at the Heartlands Golf Crossing for giving me a call. And thoughts out to my friend Kevin. His mom is dealing with some issues right now, so thinking about you, man. Let's see. We were talking about Mike says he knows how to choke someone out. Can you do it with one hand? Yes. But the way he grabbed Reed was not a legal choke. Oh, we're talking about the night stuff. Yeah, I mean, see, here's the thing. That stuff, to me, was misdemeanor BS. I've said this on the show before. There was an instance when I was a freshman in high school in football, and I had a coach on the other. We were scrimmaging the team below us, but he had been our coach for the 2 previous years with us. And I said something he didn't like, and as I was walking away, he knocked the holy living crap out of me from behind. I mean, and I'm a freshman in high school. I probably weighed 150 pounds. So I go, bam, flying to the ground. And, I try to pop up, bam, back to the ground again. Try to pop up, bam, back to the ground again. I mean, hit you. 2-hand into the back onto the ground. Now, if that's on video, what does that get?
Fired.
Oh, lawsuit.
Right.
But you know what? Did I get hurt? No. What got hurt? My pride.
Yep.
Have I thought about that every since then? Yes. Did it teach me a lesson? Hell yes. Was I deserving of it? The first one probably.
Well,
second, third one maybe not. But my point being is that was 10 times, 100 times worse than anything I saw Knight do. Now, there are some other things that I know he's done that are worse than that. That's the problem.
Correct. Here's
that's the issue. That's the problem. It's the things that the people know and they saw.
Yeah.
It's the things that they don't know. And I'm going to tell you again, people, here's the thing that you have to remember. You don't know what you don't know.
Right. Here's the thing, too. Let's just pretend that it was the stuff that everybody knows about. Let's just pretend that's the case. We know that's probably not true, but let's pretend that's the case. 2 things can be true here. It was a different era, right? And so I think you have to acknowledge that when it was a different era, there was a different type of coaching, different type of personality. So you have to factor that in. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just how it was. Okay? So you have to acknowledge that. The second part is, though, even if it is stuff that you look at and say, was it really that bad? If they told him to stop doing it and he continues to do it, that is a problem.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. It's not the action.
Man.
It's you guys. You have openly defined me. Somebody said on here there was no zero tolerance policy. There was a zero tolerance policy in place.
Yeah,
that was immediately beforehand. But that's all I'm saying. Whether you think it was the stuff he did that we saw was egregious or not, the fact that they said, hey, you have to walk a pretty thin line here, and then a couple weeks, months, whatever it was later, he violates that. Again, grabbing a kid by the arm, I don't know how aggressive it was. I wasn't there. Don't know. Don't care. Don't care. But the fact that he did that when they specifically told him, stay in check, that's the problem.
You could also say he was accosted by a douche.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not arguing that point. I'm just
he could have claimed self-defense. The funny thing is, it sounds like I'm on the pro Knight side on these. The thing is, I defend part of his side, and the other side, I'm like, oh hell no.
Right.
He doesn't get a walk for that. No. Now, should he been allowed to do? It's the other things that he did that he didn't get. And see, that's the thing.
Right.
If the other things were known, that would make the difference.
Sure.
And when someone that does know that and takes that into consideration to what they're doing, but other people don't know that, that's where it's not right.
Right. Because
it doesn't look. You're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, that's because you don't have all the information.
Right.
But that's on the fault of Indiana. So there was a lot of other things that had gone on. Is the problem behind the scenes that people just don't know about.
Right.
But that's why you use the crap you use. I'm like, oh man, that was.
But
that was so weak, so weak. I still think the Neil Reed thing's so weak. That's so weak.
You right, but do you really think Indiana wanted to let out what all it allowed Bob Knight to do?
No,
that's going to be 10 times worse.
Yeah, but see but you open yourself up to that by firing him for grabbing a damn kid's arm.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of people that don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know everything that happened, but there's a lot of people that don't know.
I don't know everything that happened.
Right.
I know enough though, but I know enough.
See, and that's my point. People don't know even enough. There's a lot of that stuff still in the dark about what had happened during his time there. And that's because Indiana didn't let it out. They were not going to say, this is what we allowed to happen for 30 years because, dear God.
Well, the thing is, society changed. Robert said he graduated in high school in 73. Coaches back then didn't give a crap about insulting and pushing you around. Hell no, that was part.
Right.
That was
that's different era.
That was part of it.
Yeah.
That was part of it. And I graduated a decade later than that. And it was still that way, baby. Trust me. And I was cool with that because that
didn't know any
that
different.
didn't bother me. When it didn't bother me, it motivated me. It's like I wasn't getting hurt. It's not like somebody's hurting me, physically hurting me. Again, the only thing that gets hurt is a lot of people's pride. A lot of people's pride gets hurt. And so there's that. Yeah, he may have won 3 titles, Heath, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. That's irrelevant to that, but he certainly did. Mike thinks that you understood his comment about no zero tolerance policy. That was a gotcha policy.
Okay.
There's a difference. They literally set him. He wasn't set up. Come on. See, I don't think how you set him up.
Right.
You say not to do something, you don't do it.
Absolutely.
But see, that's the problem. Bob Knight did not see himself of ever being able to be reined in by anybody. That's another thing that aggravated the crap out of me about Bob Knight. He was the most what's the word I'm looking for? When you do something, say something and do the opposite. Hypocritical. He's so hypocritical person in the world. He preached all this stuff, but none of it bared down on him.
I always thought that too.
Follow those lines. He didn't have to follow those rules. Yep. That's the thing that bothered me. It was very hypocritical. Yeah, he did a lot of great things, yada, 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 but he did a lot of horrible things. So
right.
I'm not here to bash him, right? We just got on this conversation, but it just cracks me up.
Well, imagine just as an example, imagine if one of his players talked to the media the way he addressed the media.
It's a good question. Does IU still have the athletes' Bill of Rights? I would imagine they do. I don't know that it's been taken away. You know what? That would be good to get that and just read it to know what all's in there. I just know about the scholarship issues and where you can't be forced out of your scholarship. Basically, that's kind of what it started because scholarships were 1 year or 1 year renewable scholarships. And sometimes a coach would say, I don't like this player anymore. He's got to go.
Yeah.
Now that's an issue that was back before you had the transfer portal and the ability to move about for the players. If they had to leave, and even if they were forced out by a coach, they would have had to sit out an entire year. That wasn't fair. But boy, we gotten kind of off topic, but that's fine. I love getting off there. Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com is going to join us next. We'll get back caught up to speed, go on and see what's going on with Indiana basketball. As tonight, they have another game against St. Francis and Brayton Bailey. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat after this, brought to you by our good friends at Barber Pop Real Estate Services. If you're down in the southern Indiana, Louisville, Floyd, Clark, Harrison, Scott County areas, all down through there, this is the people that will take care of you. 3 decades they have taken care of that community. Barber Pop, real estate services, just reach out to Barbara at barbarapop.com or Matt Lincoln at barbarapop.com. And Matt will get you covered. Back with Kyler Staley right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
What a great show.
Yeah,
Even better now that Kyler's joining us.
See, and it's all because this came from us talking about the IARP stuff. This is where it originated.
It is. It's great conversation.
Thanks, Louisville.
Yeah, I was reading up on that stuff this morning. That's pretty.
That's coming out in 30 minutes too, according to the reports I've looked at.
Dang, you could have pushed the show back, live streamed it. Could have had that.
Now the press conference isn't until 11.
Okay. I think it's
the reports
punishment. Kenny Johnson, the other assistant coach, than anything.
Which people forget, he was an assistant under Tom Crean, wasn't he?
Ooh,
Full circle, I swear. He's under Archie Miller right now.
He's always got to have those Indiana ties, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I just don't know, from a head coaching standpoint, if you've got a guy that's got a two-year ban on recruiting and stuff, as far as assistant coach, I don't know how you can keep him on staff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be something. And people are like, oh my God, Louisville's not going to get the postseason, man. They're so happy. They're not even going to be good enough to make the postseason this year. So what are they cheering about?
They might win 9 games.
This should be the year they get a postseason ban.
And even if they don't, it doesn't matter. They're not going to make it. They're going to impose their own ban just by sucking. It's going to be the thing.
Oh, please give me that postseason ban this year, please.
I hope they lose to Chaminade tonight. I think it'd be really funny.
I love that. I remember going to the Maui tournament when Yogi's senior year, and Chaminade obviously hosts that and everything. Just rooting for them so much. I forget who they were playing, but man, I was a big Chaminade guy.
The Silver Swords. I love their mascot too.
That'd be such a cool school to go to out in Hawaii. I'd love
Chaminade. They only play in the Maui tournament every other season now. They don't do it every year.
I think it's lame. I think they should be able to play every year.
I can't think if this year is a year that they play in it or not.
I hope so.
I don't remember what happened last year. I think Louisville's playing in Maui, funny enough.
That is funny.
I think they may end up playing Chaminade again if they're in this year's tournament.
Yeah. I think the lineup's pretty stacked this year from what I can remember seeing.
Yeah, Creighton's in it. I don't know all the other teams. They just popped into my head, but there's a lot of good ones. All right, here we go.
Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com joining us now. And don't forget, right now, for the next week only, you can get half off at thehoosier.com. Keep up with all Indiana recruiting, news updates, insider information that Kyler, Alec, the crew works on. Go to thehoosier.com. It's only less than $5 a month. Surely to goodness, you guys could support thehoosier.com at $4 a month. Kyler Staley, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Exciting. It's another IU basketball game day. So excited to get down in Bloomington and watch them take on St. Francis in their last exhibition game.
Yeah, another IU connection game with St. Francis coming in and Damon Bailey's son playing for them. It'll be another opportunity to see. I think we're going to probably see the same lineups we did the other night as I don't know that Trace will be back with that hand injury or whatever he has going on with that. I'm not sure what's up with Tamar, but I sure liked what I saw the other night in every other essence. Malik Renew, especially. I sent a tweet out that said, it was just like watching him play in high school. And what I meant by that was he was being threatened no more than he was in high school. He was just as dominant, or, the game came, it looked like it came very easily to him. He was very smooth. He never looked out of place. He looked just very comfortable. Jalen Hood-Schifino, the same. CJ Gunn, knocking those 2 threes down, what that has to do for his confidence, although he's already a confident player. Caleb Banks is the only freshman that I didn't really see much from. Jordan Geronimo, you didn't think much, and all of a sudden, bam, he hits the 3 and drives to the basket. So we got Miller Kopp, not a lot, but we got Race Thompson hitting the 3s. So we got to see a lot of the pieces out there.
Yeah, and I think the big thing about them is like they were very consistent on the floor. Now, Xavier Johnson was probably the only one that was just kind of a little rocky at times. But, I mean, without having Trace, without having Tamar, that just goes to show you. I mean, again, it was against Marion, so you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. But, I mean, it just shows how deep this Indiana team is. If one guy goes down, they've got guys that can step up and they can, fill important roles. And I was like you just mentioned, I was very impressed with the freshman class, Malik and Jalen especially. Those guys came in, ready. I mean, they're just college ready, and you saw that on the floor for the first time. CJ Gunn, his confidence, like you said, is just awesome. And then the thing that stood out to me with Caleb Banks, even though he wasn't really a factor, towards the end of the game when he got in, I just think he's got elite athletic ability. You saw that, just from his vertical and just kind of the plays he was making on defense. But yeah, they're a deep team this year. It'll be interesting if Trace or Tamar do play tonight. I don't expect them to. I know Malik did kind of stepped out, at the beginning of the second half with a knee injury, so he might not play tonight, just kind of be on the safe side. But it's another opportunity to see Indiana tonight, and hopefully we can see more consistent play from Xavier Johnson. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Kyler, Jim and I have talked a couple days this week about Indiana probably going with maybe a 9-man to 10-man rotation, probably not, going 13 deep, right, every single game, although you can play a little bit better situational basketball. If guys get in foul trouble, you can do that. We've had a couple questions, and there's probably nobody better to ask than you. Where do you see Anthony Leal's role with this team heading into the season?
Unfortunately, I see it more as kind of situational. To me, when I look at kind of the roster, I mean, Anthony's probably, the bottom 3 man, I just don't see him cracking a whole lot of much rotation. Now, Anthony Leal has shown, like he showed last year, he can come in and he can produce some solid minutes. It's just going to come down to where, let's say the backup guards or somewhere around there is just not, working out and everything. And they need, the experience of Anthony Leal to come in. He's got a high floor IQ. He works his butt off on the floor, can be a capable hot shooter. But I just don't really see him cracking the main 9 to 10-man rotation on a consistent basis this year.
Who was that you said you didn't?
Anthony Leal.
Yeah. I someone asked that earlier, and I missed where that comment was, but it's. I was going through the lineup yesterday, and I was picking out who trying to decide between a 9 and a 10-man roster, which that's going to be situational. We talked about yesterday. There's going to be times I don't think Logan Duncombe's going to be in that 10-man rotation, but there's going to be times where he's in there, whether it's because of fouls, whatever, because I think and we'll see more again tonight, but he showed the capability of being able to come in and provide some minutes, some rest, whatever the case is, relief, foul minutes for guys. I think he's an outlier. I don't think he's in that top rotation, but he's definitely going to play. There's just so many guys that it's hard. It's going to be hard to keep out of there. But at the same time, it's like that means you got to take guys off the floor. Xavier Johnson, his play is going to dictate a lot. And then Trey Galloway's play is going to be dictated by Xavier Johnson's play, I think. or he can also sub in for Jalen Hood-Schifino, who I'm not expecting any problem from. But I wish it's going to be a Tamar Bates. Tamar Bates is he's going to have to show he deserves to be on the floor to earn those minutes to be in that higher rotation, which I'm sure that he is, but we haven't seen him yet, so we don't know.
Yeah, and like Woodson, has said multiple times, if he puts you on the floor, you better, make the most of your minutes and everything. Now, when I look at the kind of 9-man rotation, obviously we're going to see Trey Galloway, Jordan Geronimo, Tamar Bates, Malik. Those are kind of going to be your 4 making up that 9. I see Logan Duncombe as kind of that Michael Durr role that last year, Trace gets in foul trouble, Race gets in foul trouble, or what they just need somebody, especially.
Yeah, but you got Malik Renew who's going to be in front of him.
That's true. Yeah, but you can also play Malik at the 4. He has shown where he can do that. There will be situations where I can see Malik and Trace both on the floor at the same time. But for Logan, like we were talking about, I just see him, a situational, like you said, foul trouble. Let's say they're going up against Purdue, Zach Edey, where they need another big, to really kind of go at him, because Trace has shown at times where he has struggled with those type of big guys and stuff. And, Logan's put on a lot of weight where he can kind of match up with those guys a little bit better this year. So it'll be interesting. But I think you have kind of your 9, kind of in your head and everything. And then after that, it just becomes, situational. Like you said, is Xavier Johnson, is he consistently producing on the floor? Is he struggling? Trey Galloway might get more minutes that game. It just kind of depends on what goes on the floor. But by the end of the season, you'll have your pretty much set 9 that you see on the floor at a consistent rate.
Absolutely, and that's Trey Galloway, Race Thompson, Jordan Geronimo, Miller Kopp, Malik Renew, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Xavier Johnson, Tamar Bates, and Trace Jackson Davis. Those are the 9 that I think are going to be the core. The other, Logan Duncombe and CJ Gunn, I think, are going to see some time in there. And especially if CJ is able to get in, and because you always hear Mike Woodson say, hey, and the players repeat it, you've got to do what you can with the minutes you get. If he gets in and knocks down a couple of threes, don't need to be taking him out. But I think that he is very, very capable of doing that. And that alone is a gigantic difference for this Indiana basketball team, not just CJ, but you're bringing in Malik Renew off the bench. That guy could start for a lot of teams, including this one. You'll be bringing in a very experienced Trey Galloway, not a big offensive threat, but very experienced. Hopefully, you're bringing in a vastly improved Tamar Bates, Jordan Geronimo. They're all these guys are better than they were a year ago. And in some cases, you've got Malik Renew, who is just miles better than what you had last year to bring in. So this team is so much better than what it was. Everyone's worried about the shooting. This year, I'm not worried about the shooting this year. As from looking at them, I'm like, you know what? They don't need to hit 100 3-pointers. They just need to be efficient. And I don't think Miller Kopp is going to push the issue. It could be CJ Gunn that hits those. Who knows? But I think that they're just going to be so efficient in so many ways that that reliance is not going to be there as much.
Right. And they showed times last year where they could win games, with poor shooting. That's just, they're going to play the inside out approach a lot. Like you said, they have to be efficient from, behind the arc. But CJ Gunn, we talked about him a little bit, Tamar Bates didn't play against Marion. So you saw CJ have a lot more minutes. I think CJ kind of falls into sort of that Christian Lander type of role. Last year, when Rob Finney went down, Christian was, he was the backup point guard. CJ, Tamar Bates goes down or whatever, where they need CJ to kind of plug in, he can do that. And I think CJ's confidence, that just transitions into the college level. I think that's a big advantage for him. But I think CJ's going to be ready. I think all the freshmen are ready for this. So we'll just see kind of how the lineup and everything goes. But, as far as scoring wise, they just got to be efficient from behind the arc. And then they just got to stick to their kind of bread and butter of doing the inside out ball.
See, here's why I am a little bit more concerned, apparently, about the shooting than everybody else for whatever reason. they are projected to be a contender in the Big Ten. People want to see them in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. If this was a team that you thought, maybe they can just squeak into the tournament. If it didn't have the high expectations, maybe I wouldn't be as worried because I think they can win games without shooting, but you're not winning a league title without shooting. And so don't get me wrong, very positive signs. Race Thompson going 3 for 4 from behind the arc. CJ Gunn coming in, knocking in 2 of his 3 shots from behind the arc. That's a good sign. Shooting 42% from the 3, 50-some% from the field. Good sign, but it's against Marion. So to me, there's still a level of, I'll believe it when I see it, just because it's been so bad for a while. And again, it's not that they're a bad team. They don't have options. I just think that I want to see more consistent shooting for a team that is supposed to be winning the Big Ten. That's why I think it's going to be a bigger deal, because I don't think in today's college basketball, I don't think you're going to win a league title if you are shooting as poorly as they've shot in the past.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely on that. So sorry, Jim.
In the national championship game last year, North Carolina was 5 of 23, and Kansas was 6 of 17.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm telling you, Duke, you go back and look, they're not winning these games because they're great 3-point shooter teams.
That's one game.
I knew the reason I pulled it up is because I was pretty confident that was what I was going to see. I think you see this most of the time now. The 3-point percentage has gone down. 23, they're 5 of 23. That's horrible. That's horrible.
It's not good.
It's too many shots to be taken when you could have probably gotten a better shot and scored. How many of those 23 attempts could you have actually gotten a better attempt off and probably scored?
Yeah. And you just kind of look at
and they lost by 3 points in that game, by the way.
Yeah, like Dustin said, that is one sample size. You kind of got to look at, what kind of got them to the NCAA, championship game. That's where I kind of look at it. How was their shooting leading up to that game? But back to Indiana shooting, I think they just got to be consistent. They got to be efficient. If they can knock down eight 3-pointers, at a game, they can average that. I think that's okay for them because, Woodson has said he has a lot of confidence in, Miller Kopp to hit the open shots this year. He knows what kind of environment he's in now. Whereas at Northwestern, that's just a different environment. Miller Kopp came in last year. He's not realizing, how the Indiana fan base reacts to those type of things. The Indiana fan base is very nitpicky on a lot of things. So, Miller Kopp missing those shots, he can get away with that at Northwestern, not at Indiana. So, this summer Miller Kopp really worked on, his game. He really worked on hitting those open shots. And I think this year you see a lot more than that. And if you've got Race Thompson stretching the floor at a more consistent rate than already he did last year, that's huge for them. So they just got to be consistent. They got to be consistent, but efficient at the same time.
Go ahead, Dustin.
I was trying to look up and see and counter this 3-point percentage.
Oh, so am I, because
North Carolina.
Last year, Kansas, your national champion last year, shot 36% for the season.
North Carolina shot 36% for the season.
And
so both those teams were in the national championship game.
What did Indiana shoot?
I'm trying to pull that up right now, man.
I was going to say I don't
right there.
What'd you say, Kyler?
33%.
33. I said low 30s.
33%.
Yeah, if they can get that up, if you can get that up to a 36% efficient rate, that's all they got to do.
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
Well, okay. You say, okay, yes, a little bit, but that's also a large sample size. We're not talking 2 more shots made. We're probably talking, 25 to 30?
Yeah.
Maybe more.
It's 0.03 of a percentage point. It's not 3 percentage points. It's 0.03 of a percentage point.
Wait, you just said they shot 33%.
Yeah. Or
okay.
A tenth, whatever.
But North Carolina and Kansas both made 36, so that's 3%.
0.36 versus 0.33.
Too much math on Indiana sports.
Yeah, yes.
How about
my point is they don't have to be greatly better there. They just have to be efficient. If they're more efficient,
I'm not specifically talking about 3-point shooting. I'm talking about shooting, period.
Okay.
well, they shot the ball fine, I thought. Indiana as a team was a good shooting team, and they're going to be a much better shooting team this year, I think, already. I mean, we look at the first game. Everybody on the floor was very efficient, minus Xavier.
I do agree with you on that. I'm just saying if they're going to win the Big Ten, they have to shoot better than they have in the past. I think they are going to be. I'm just not dismissing that as an issue quite yet.
Well, that's easy to say because they finished 9th in the Big Ten last year, so they got to do a lot of things better than they did in the past.
I thought they defended well last year.
They did, but they have to. They have to defend better. You can't give up a 22-point lead and say you're defending as good as you can defend.
And they have games. That's another big issue that they had last year. Out games. So, and I think we can just pinpoint if they want to win a Big Ten championship, they close out games, they protect home court, and then they just get, a little bit more efficient from behind the arc. And I think that's going to lead them to a Big Ten championship.
Brayton Bailey coming into Assembly Hall tonight to get to play a basketball game. Son of Damon Bailey. Trying to think. I'm sure that's happened before. I don't know if Sean May played here or not, but I'm sure that's happened in the past. I'm trying to think, but pretty cool for him to get that experience.
Yeah, and on a personal level, I think this is probably the game I was looking forward to the most because my family has ties with the Baileys. My brother played with Brayton for 3 years at Bedford North Lawrence, so it's just cool. Brayton's a great kid. He's a great ball player. Could have maybe played some low major Division I, but St. Francis was probably the perfect fit for him. He just doesn't have, that jump shot. His game's more of a drive to the basket. He's going to finish around the rim. And he's really good on kicking out. But I'm really hoping from a personal standpoint, I hope he has a really good game today. I think this is one of the really cool stories, one of the more underrated stories in the college basketball world, honestly. So it's going to be a good night. There should be a lot of people, from Bedford that are there, a lot of local people that are there. So you get another chance to see Indiana, but you also get to see a really cool moment on the other team.
Yeah, he said that he thought Damon's son would have had a better offer out of high school, but you just gave that answer very nicely.
Yeah, he could have, but St. Francis, NAIA, they give out full scholarships, so he's got a perfect situation right there.
Question from Heath is, and it's hard to say about driver's seat right now with it being that far out, but asking about Trent Sisley. I know you report on him quite a bit. The relationship seems to be going swimmingly between those guys, and we're over break, by the way, so let's make this quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that driver's seat, not really the answer I would give, but in a very, very good spot. Purdue's also another team you got to kind of watch for there. So that's with him.
Make sure you give Kyler a follow. They'll be at the game tonight with complete coverage, live thread, the whole deal, right?
Yep, we'll have everybody there.
At thehoosier.com, where you can also sign up right now at half off. Make sure you take advantage of that special as the basketball season's kicking off. Kyler Staley, thank you very much.
Thank you. See you tonight.
Yes, sir. We're back with more. Brought to you by our good friends at Metalworks Brewing Company, located right off the square in Bloomington, catty corner to Cabello Restaurant in the former Function Brewing location. Make sure you stop in and enjoy their incredible craft beers, love of craft metal art, and being a part of the community. Chris Denari joins us next, right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Hey, this is John.
A reminder, I will also be out after this segment today.
Well, so you won't get to comment on the IARP ruling whenever that comes out.
I've already made my comment. Hello, Chris.
What's up, guys?
How are you, brother?
I'm good.
Well, the Pacers are playing well. Even when they're not winning, they're playing well.
Yeah, I mean, we had a real chance to be 3-5 on that road trip. I think the hardest thing in they've done these situations where you play the same team twice. I think we do it 3 or 4 times this year. And after
okay, that explains. I'm like, wait a minute, didn't they just play Brooklyn?
Yeah, they've done that to the schedule the last couple of years. It was sort of out of COVID, And I mean, I understand why. It was nice to just stay in New York City for like Friday night, Saturday night, 3 nights.
I don't know why they have not done that so long ago, Chris. It makes no sense to me from a travel standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it makes sense. I think from a competition standpoint, it's tough. I think especially like for any team, once you beat a team once, it's hard to beat them again, especially on the road. My only thing is I think it's got to be the same. It's not consistent across the league. Like some teams do it 4 times, some teams do it twice, some team, to me, there's got to be a number that, okay, everybody's going to do it 4 times, just so it's right. I guess I use the word equitable. I think, like I said, especially after all that was swirling around in Brooklyn, the fact that we beat them on the second out of a back-to-back, I thought said something, but I thought it was going to be difficult because Durant came out hunting for shots in the second game, and Pacers fell behind by 24 and still had a chance to win. So yeah, it's a really good group. The pulse of a team is always felt by the athletic training staff, right? They'll be up front with you. Hey, this is a great group. This group sucks. This, whatever. And they really like this group. But they said they're very good group together, so I think that says a lot.
Membership's available, so go to eaglepoint.com right now and get yours today.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Hope your week has gone well. We've made it through. Weather's been spectacular, I have to say. It was a little froggy out there this morning, but man, you cannot complain. It's going to be a high of 73 here today. Chris Denari, how is it up there in Indy, my friend?
It's supposed to be the same. Was a little froggy this morning, a little foggy, but it's supposed to be nice throughout the day. I'll head down to practice here in a little while, and then late afternoon before I start my game prep for tomorrow night's game with Miami, I need to get out and mow the lawn and mulch. So I'm going to try to do that late.
I thought we were done with the gardening.
No, we're not done that. When you live next to 6 acres of trees, you have a lot of leaves that fall, and it's a whole lot easier to mulch them than it is to rake them. My wife did a great job while I was gone, raking and getting a lot of leaves, and I think we're probably close to the end. I mean, what was interesting for me, I left 2 Sundays ago, right, on the 23rd, and there were plenty of leaves on the trees. And when I got back the morning of November the 1st, which was Tuesday, there wasn't much left. So I sort of missed that week and a half where the colors were still pretty good. And that's one of the reasons why I think you guys both know why I wasn't on with you last week. We were, on Wednesday, we were in Chicago.
3 a.m. or something.
So it was an 8 o'clock Eastern time game. By the time we got to Washington, D.C., it was like 3 or 3:30 in the morning. And so 9:50 in the morning didn't quite work last Thursday.
Comes a little early. When do you have to go back out on the road?
We don't go back. We have 4 straight at home now. So we're home tomorrow night against Miami. Home Monday, home next Wednesday, and then home the following Saturday. I don't travel again until 2 weeks from now. So that's nice.
What's it been like getting back on the road, Chris?
I tell you what, being back in the road buildings, doing the games, it feels really good. I mean, having done almost 100 road games in the studio, while you can do it, there are definitely things you miss. The other piece is just being around the team, being around the coaches, being around the staff. I had an opportunity on one of the shoot around days in Chicago to spend a half hour with our GM, Chad Buchanan, and one of our assistant front office people, Ted Wu. And just for a half hour, we're standing there watching, shoot around, talking. I wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity at home because they're busy doing stuff, but we're here on the road. Those are the things that you see. It's being in the arena. The officials can come talk to you. You're not married to the screen. You can see everything in the building. You can see the fans and how they're reacting, those types of things. The hardest thing after 2.5 years, as I just said, is to get used to landing at 3 a.m. and then, going to the airport or going from the airport to the hotel. So I think we had 3 of those from the standpoint that from Chicago to DC, we got in about 3. And from DC to New York, I think it ended up to be about 2 or 3 a.m. And then when we landed back on Tuesday morning, I got home about 3 a.m. So that's the biggest thing I think you have to get adjusted to. But being back on the road in the hotels and around the team, it felt normal again.
Well, and through these first 8 games, the Pacers doing their very best to give me an aneurysm at some point in the season, getting down by 20 points, it feels like, every single game. But I've been thoroughly impressed with the fight that this team shows. When they get down early, it's easy to try to maybe, or not try to, but cash in the chips, wave the white flag. I've been impressed through 8 games that this team doesn't fold. They give you – it's like I watch a lot of Braves baseball, right? It's like Chip Carey says. They don't always win, but they'll give you a finish. I feel like that has been, for the most part, the Pacers season through 8 games. They may not win, but they're giving you a finish. They're showing a lot of fight, and it gives you a lot of excitement. Even though you're in a rebuild, you're not expecting a whole lot. It's really fun, exciting basketball to watch through 8 games.
Yeah, 6 of the 8 games they've trailed by double figures after the first quarter, and in all those games, they came back to win and beat Detroit. And in all of those games, they've had a chance. In fact, Monday night, they fall behind by 24 in the first half, 19 in the third quarter, and yet with about 4.5 minutes to play, it's tied at 100. And also, Dustin and Jim, I go back to that weekend, a Friday night and a Saturday night on the road in Washington, D.C., and in Brooklyn, and pretty much they dominated both of those games. What was good to see, we had the telecast on Friday night as well, but it was an ESPN game. And the Pacers' history in recent history on national television has not been good. They did beat Golden State last year on TNT, but for the most part, they've laid some eggs on national television. And so it was really good to see those guys play so well in their only national television game of the year. And then to follow that up the next night against a Brooklyn team that ironically is struggling. They have now fired their coach, Steve Nash, but they still have 2 of the best players in the world in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They've got Ben Simmons. They're a team that is expected to contend possibly for an Eastern Conference championship, and the Pacers dominated that game. So that was great to see that young core in back-to-back road games really put their foot on the throat of the opposing team and dominate. And so I think that's a good sign because I think when I was on with you guys a couple of weeks ago, trying to figure out through the first 8 games where the win's going to come. They won that first game against Detroit, but you looked at that 5-game road trip and you thought Philly, Chicago, Washington, Brooklyn twice. It's pretty tough. And yet they went into Monday's game with a chance to have a winning road trip. So all those things are good. They need to build on that, and it'll restart tomorrow night at home against Miami.
And I think one of the things that stand out to me is before the season started or in the preseason, Tyrese Halliburton made the comment that for the Pacers to be successful, he probably needs to average about a double-double. He's basically right at that, 21 points, just over 9 assists per game. I've been really impressed with how he's kind of become this team leader, a young team leader. Obviously, we've seen some really good things from Benedict Mathurin, but I think that this team still goes as Tyrese Halliburton goes. And he's a guy, I love watching him play. He just enjoys playing basketball. In some of the previous Pacers teams, you didn't get a lot of emotion. You didn't see a lot of smiles. I feel like Tyrese Halliburton, every time he makes a shot, he's got a smile on his face.
Oh, no question. No question.
He's an awesome player to watch, and he's playing extremely well. Just a fun player to have on this team.
He has a little Reggie in him, right? Just a
Yes.
little. He's not quite Reggie Miller, but I go back to the Saturday night game when he hit those 6 threes, and on one of them he was jumping in the air.
Yeah.
And the beauty about that is it's not fake. You know, some guys have fake joy. Some guys it's not real. It is truly real for Tyrese, and I think that feeds the rest of his teammates. Not everybody has to be the same. Not everybody has to react the same way. In fact, you want some people that are a little bit different because they bring different things to your team. But I think the emotion and the joy that he plays with really rubs off on his teammates. And he has embraced being the leader. It's not easy coming into a new situation and sort of you're handed the keys to the car and the front office says, hey, you're the guy. And then you've got to figure out, when you have some guys that remain from past teams, how are you going to become that leader? And I think he's embraced it. His teammates have embraced him. And I think that's just good for the short term as well as the long term for this franchise.
Well, right now they're competing and winning, but when they're not, they're competing. And these young guys that they have right now, they probably know that this is not the team, that the team is going to get better next year or year after that they're going to try to build. How can they sustain mentally over the course of an entire NBA season if the losses start to mount, even if they're competitive, even if they're playing these games? It's hard to win. Losing gets hard on you.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Jim. And I think that's the one thing that and that's why, while it is a reset or a rebuild, you've got a good young core that you hope is going to take you into the future. And to me, and I'm not trying to omit players, but I'm looking at third year, second year, and rookies. And of that, your third year players are definitely Halliburton, Jalen Smith, and I'll even throw Aaron Nesmith in there because, he came from Boston. Your second year players are Chris Duarte and Isaiah Jackson. And your first-year players are Matherin and Nembhard. That's a pretty good group of 7 to build around in my estimation. And, you've got Myles Turner figuring in there, as an 8-year veteran, and TJ McConnell and, Buddy Hield and all that. But I'm sort of looking at the third year, the second year, and the first-year players. And I think to your point is you want to have success from a wins-losses standpoint, because you want to start building those habits. Now, at the same point, we don't know what that win-loss record will be, but I think it's important to have success because you're right. It's easy to get down, and it's easy, to look at those L's and they start building. So, it's an interesting process that this team is going through. And that's why I think those weekend wins were so important, because it showed the players what the coaching staff has been preaching from a defensive standpoint, playing with force, playing with energy, playing with joy. And when you have that success, it rubs off. And so I think that helps your psyche as you go through the season. It's a tough grind. There's no question. And what's interesting, guys, is just look at the standings right now. I mean, Miami, who the opponent is tomorrow night, just won back-to-back games. I think we're 2-5. Golden State's under 500. Brooklyn's under 500. Philadelphia's under 500. Minnesota made the trade for Rudy Gobert, and they've struggled a little bit. There's no guarantee in this league that you're going to have success no matter who's on your roster. I mean, the Lakers were the last team to win a game, and they've got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So it's a tough league, and you've got to be ready to play every night. The Clippers lost 2 in a row to Oklahoma City. So every night you just got to be ready to play because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, one question I wanted to ask Chris is, I don't know how to phrase this properly, but there's obviously some very visible things going on with Myles Turner in terms of, they tried to sign DeAndre Ayton. I mean, he's definitely on the trading block, in my opinion. it's just very interesting given his comments about the Lakers, about trading. I don't blame him. I think we all know the writing on the wall there, but it's interesting to me what I saw in that second game against Brooklyn. He played in some key minutes down the stretch. He was not good. I think he picked up 2 or 3 fouls, missed some easy shots, airballed a free throw at one point in the game. He's not that bad of a player. I just wonder about if he's I'm not saying he's not trying, but what's his motivation to play knowing he's not going to be on this team probably very much longer?
Well, I do think he's a good pro and he's a good guy. And, it was an interesting interview with Woj. That's Woj's assignment, right? He's trying to get the most out of an interview. And I think Myles and his people need to understand, what that's all about. I thought, for all the things that Myles has been through as far as his name out there, and then, as you said, the DeAndre Ayton thing, I think he's really handled it pretty well. As I look at the interview, are there some things that I think he could have said a little better? Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, but he is who he is. So it does make for an interesting situation. Remember, he does that interview on Sunday coming off a Friday night performance when he goes for 27 points and 10 rebounds. And unfortunately for him, then he backs it up with a not very good game. So it will be definitely something to watch. I do know he enjoys playing with his teammates. He enjoys Halliburton. It's a real opportunity for him. It's just going to be something to follow as it shakes out the rest of the year. I thought he was very positive in his view of the organization and how they've been very transparent and upfront with him. So all those things I think were a positive. In my opinion, are there some things he could have handled a little bit differently in that interview? Sure. I mean, that's my perspective as a team employee and as somebody who works for the Pacers. But it will definitely be something to follow as the season goes along. And, hopefully, again, he's always going to give it his all. I just think after that interview, he probably put a lot of pressure on himself. And then the results on Monday were not what anybody wanted to see.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to, I think I agree with you. I think he's been a great professional. I think he's been great for the organization. But sometimes, sometimes divorce is good. And I think at some point, the two sides will go their separate ways, whether that's at some point in the season or after the season. But it was just an interesting thing to have happen. And I know we got to take a break here, Chris, but we've been arguing all week, basically. Christmas music now, yes or no?
Well, I'm a big, I'll go to the Christmas music. I'm a big Hallmark fan, and Hallmark started its Christmas movies just about a week ago. And I will watch those Christmas movies all through November and into December. So I would say probably yes, though I won't.
You've already answered it.
I won't.
You've already answered the question. You've already proven yourself.
So I guess Jim is not in the Dustin Denari camp where hey, we're ready for Jim. I was watching those Hallmark Christmas movies in July.
It's 7. I was just getting ready to earlier. I was looking at the forecast as we were talking about you getting to stay home for like the next 2 weeks, which is kind of a rarity in season. Well, it's going to be other than Saturday 64, but still in the 70s all the way through until the following Friday, with little Saturday some rain there possibly, but other than that, it's just no Christmas music. It's 70 degrees.
So
no
Jim,
Christmas music. We're not in Florida.
But you live on a golf course, right?
Yes,
or
sir.
by a golf course down in Bloomington. So you get in the golf cart, you tee it up, you listen to a little Christmas music this afternoon, and then you head to Simon Scott Assembly Hall for the Hoosiers.
Exactly.
I think it's a pretty good day.
Here's my I'm a Christmas, this is my clarifier. I'm a big Christmas jazz guy. I don't listen to the jingles or something. It's very good, relaxing music. So
what the hell is Christmas jazz?
It's Christmas songs in jazz form.
I guess I've missed this. Benny Goodman does Christmas or something.
We need to go to Apple Music, download some music, and send it to Jim.
I'm going
Hey,
to.
man,
I've got the Vince
they opened
Guaraldi, Peanuts, Charlie Brown Christmas on vinyl. Maybe I'll buy it. I don't know. It was actually pretty expensive. I might send it to Jim so he can enjoy it. Get in the holiday spirit, you big damn Grinch.
We can get him a portable turntable.
Oh.
He can put it in the seat in the golf cart.
I've got a wingman. They call it a wingman. It just magnetic sticks to the deal, and it'll. Okay. The main deal is it's supposed to call the distance out for you through an app, but they just changed the app and now it's horrible. So I just use it for music instead.
Well, since Chris brought up the Hallmark, the only gripe I have about the Hallmark movies is that every place they go has apparently the best hot chocolate they've ever had. Every tree stand.
They are, they are pretty formatic, aren't they?
Yes.
They've got it down. It's a tree shop, a coffee shop, a hot chocolate. Go to the small town. Yeah. But
exactly.
Hey, I love them.
If I could ever get Dustin in town, I'm not going to wait for him. I need to get up to some Pacer games. I did not do that last year.
Guys, just let me know. Just let me know.
Get up there and see what's going on.
All right,
brother. You have a great day and a great rest of your week. Enjoy that gardening.
All right, thanks, guys.
The great Chris Denari joining us here from the Indiana Pacers. Make sure you give him a follow and listen to his broadcasts for the Pacers if you can, because he's on Valley, right?
Yes.
There's ways to get it. We got to take a quick break before John slaps my hand. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're a visitor.
All righty. I will see you gents tomorrow.
All right. See you mañana.
Hasta Manwego.
Let's see if there's an official release on that IARP stuff.
Well, I'm reading out of The Athletic.
Oh, did they report on it too?
Yeah.
Already?
Let's see what the ESPN says. Go to NCAA basketball.
I don't know if it's been released yet, unless I'm just not looking in the right place.
Former Kansas player died after a crash.
Is this the official one from Jody Dimling?
I don't know. I'm looking at something different at the moment.
No, you're good. And make sure I don't run out of time on here. Okay, now this guy's still talking about the according to a report, so there's nothing official yet. But the press conference isn't. Or hold on, what did I just see a second ago? Okay, never mind. Now that IARP is doing something at 11 and Louisville's having a news conference at 12. So, of course, we're not going to get anything on this show. Not at least it's not pertaining to Indiana, or else it'd be kind of disappointing. But
oh, it sucks.
Oh, well. Oh, whale.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
They're going to get a slap on the wrist. It don't even matter. Everyone except Indiana gets a slap on the wrist. All right, here we go.
The Rivals Network. The Hoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Johnny boy. Hey, do we have any clips, John?
No, we don't today.
All right.
Was there a presser yesterday?
There was with Tom Allen, I believe, yes.
No, we did Tom Allen stuff yesterday.
Right, but that was different. Anyway, Arizona's Courtney Ramey suspended for 3 games for participating in a Portsmouth Invitational participation. Here, John, come back in here. Unfortunately, that will not affect the Indiana game. Indiana's their 7th game. And then you're looking for stuff on that U of L thing, right?
Yeah, so the IARP ruling for all of the incidents that Louisville has been dealing with was originally supposed to be released about 20 minutes ago, but now it's been pushed back to another hour, and then the following hour, Louisville will be holding a press conference. So if you're listening to this on radio, you've more than likely already heard this news. So we don't want to act like that this is anything breaking at the time that you're listening to this if you're on the radio, but at the time of the show's recording, nothing has been released on Louisville's IARP ruling, but it is something that I feel like, based on everything that I've seen from Matt Norlander and the reports with the maybe just a couple of recruiting punishments, no
much ado about nothing.
Yeah, it's just going to be a slap on the wrist, like every other program has gotten from the IARP recently, and
the NCAA is a joke.
We're going to go about their business. And even if they gave Louisville a postseason ban, it wouldn't matter because they're going to be so totally awful this year that they're going to give themselves their own ban just by being terrible.
Yep. They lost to Lenore Ryan.
And they play Chaminade tonight, which honestly at this point wouldn't be surprising if they lost that exhibition game.
Well, Bellarmine is very well a team that could beat them.
And that's when they open the season.
Rick Bozich said that yesterday. Auburn has hired Mississippi State's John Cohen as its next AD. So now they have to move on to hire a football coach. I didn't realize they got rid of both. The school announced the move on Monday. He arrives after serving for 7 years at Mississippi State, replacing Alan Green, who negotiated a departure from Auburn. I like that. Negotiated a departure from Auburn. That means, how much money are you going to give me to leave? Man, his contract was supposed to expire in the upcoming months, so that was easy. In signing Cohen, Auburn would make the rare move to hire from within the SEC. Yeah, that's a little odd, an AD going from one school to the other in that conference. Obviously, a lot of familiarity with there. He was assistant coach at Florida in the early 2000s, and the head basketball coach, baseball coach. He was the head baseball coach at Kentucky. Get out of here. From 2004 to 2008. This guy was an assistant coach. Oh, baseball, I'm sure. Okay, at Florida. I thought it was a different sport. He was assistant baseball coach at Florida in the early 2000s and then the head coach at Kentucky. He took over at Mississippi State as the AD who left Florida in 2016. Auburn now has to hire a football coach. So in July, Cohen had just signed a 4-year extension and received a salary increase to $1.1 million. That's a well-paid AD. So he's probably making 1.5 at Auburn.
Yeah, outside of Bruce Pearl still being at Auburn, it seems like things are going in the wrong direction for Auburn athletics. Their football program's been not quite a disaster, but it's not been living up to their expectations. They've gone through 2 or 3 head coaches, it seems like, in the past several years. And since the kick 6 year, it's kind of been all downhill.
Did you say the pick six?
The kick 6 when they upended Alabama.
Well, they've always had Auburn, you had who's the guy that they paid all the money to? His
Cam Newton.
dad, Cam Newton. Yeah. Which, you know, I say that, and I think Reggie Bush should get his Heisman back. It was the same kind of thing. I think his family received benefits, like a house to live in while he was in school or something. You know what? Give him his Heisman back. That had nothing to do with him earning the Heisman, winning the Heisman. And I just.
So, on that note, what do you think about Louisville having to remove their 2013 men's basketball national championship? Should that be given back to them?
I think it was stupid because it did not affect the team on the floor. It did not affect the games that were played. And they're so, is Kansas going to lose their banner? Hell no. And they cheated. They paid players. They had players paid to come play for them. So, yeah, the U of L should get their banner back. But you can't go back. I mean, Indiana should get its program back, instead of having it decimated like it was back in the day.
I don't think there's a men's basketball program that has seen that kind of decimation since then, correct?
Well, no, and that's another reason. That's partly why this U of L is getting this. The NCAA no longer, they make money from these teams. If these teams are not making money, then the NCAA is not making money from them. Also, these are their high-profile programs. Kansas, Indiana is one of those. But at that time, they didn't give a crap. But I don't think the administration cared. They were so screwed up. But Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina have all been involved in cheating. Every one of them. But no one got decimated and all to a higher level. A much higher level. The stuff U of L did, I laugh at some of it. Do you think bringing those nasty strippers in did anything for them? Are you kidding me? Really? No. That's the thing. People take words and turn it in and create it to be something in their mind. That didn't do jack. And now look what the problem I have, though, is Louisville was on probation for committing major violations. They do what? Commit more major violations. And what do they get? More probation. They were on probation when they committed that. Just more probation. I mean, maybe there's more. We'll see for scholarship reductions or any recruiting visits affected. I don't know. We haven't seen it all come out yet, but basically nothing of substance is going to happen to them.
Well, this is what happens when you wait so long, because at this point, I don't know how the IARP works or the NCAA. Obviously, it's
slowly.
No fan of the wait. Yeah, slowly. They're handing down punishments for people, for players, coaches, staff that have absolutely nothing to do with the program right now.
Yep, it is what it is. What are you going to do? Let's see. We had a lot of comments. So wish we could have got back to that. We can talk tomorrow, though, about more IU basketball, because we will have Alec Lasley on with us to do just that, as we'll be discussing tonight's game, post game from that, as Indiana taking on St. Francis in an exhibition game. No post game show for that for us. We wait till the real things start. So So, but looking forward to that. Looking forward to Brayton Bailey getting to come back in. I'm sure Damon will be there as well. Getting to take that in. It's probably the first time he's been in Simon Scott Assembly Hall in a minute. So that should be good to see as well. For those of you that are going to the game, looking forward to that.
1 minute.
And Steve, who are these guys? I don't know what we were talking about, man.
That was
My
from
bad.
15 minutes ago.
I know. I don't know what it was about.
I think it's when they were talking about the Hallmark movies and Christmas jazz.
Oh, exactly, Steve. I agree with you. I'm like, what's going on with you all? It's crazy. Crazy Christmas jazz. Who heard of such a thing, man? Kidding. Steve said, boo, movies for the ones. The kiss at the end. There you go. Tomorrow, Bill Walton says he hopes that the UCLA going to the Big Ten is rescinded.
Wrap up.
So we'll have to put that on tomorrow too. So thanks a lot to everybody today. Like I said, Dustin Schutte, of course, Kyler Staley, Chris Denari, John, the producer. Most importantly, to thank you. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. We're back here to do it all again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.